Well, gaming news today is a lot about PlayStation. Once again, the PS5 Pro taking the center stage as more and more games are putting out updates, videos, blog posts, as well as just adding patches to their game before the device comes out. So we're going to be taking a look at some of that. And also, the LEGO Horizon previews are here, and they're looking very good, surprising some people with just how much they've enjoyed the game. We're going to be looking at some of the choice quotes. Alan Wake 2 PS5 Pro enhancements. There's a blog post. There's some videos. Their DLC also lands today. Now, there were some Red Dead 2 Redemption rumors about PS5. I'm not really going to look at that because it was so unclear what was really going on, but we'll see if anything comes from that, as well as an update on when you can play Assassin's Creed Shadows. And is Joseph Staten back with Halo? Well, we'll see. We'll discuss it. I also have some games for your wish list and your radar, so be sure to hit subscribe, be sure to hit the bell button, and be sure to smash that like button. And if you want to support the channel directly, we're trying to hit a goal with memberships. Hit join and pick a member plus, and you can help us with that. So the PS5 Pro updates continue to roll out, and there is an Alan Wake deep dive blog that you can check out. They go through a lot of what they are doing. It's very lengthy. I'm just going to pull out some of the high points and let the videos kind of run behind you and just let you see exactly how some of these jumps are happening with the reflections and the water in the glass. It really is impressive. Now, first, they used upscaling to get better image stability, and they said the following: we did multiple experiments, including upgrading the 60 FPS performance mode output from 1440 to 4K and adding PSSR, which positively impacted image crispness and stability under motion. That's one of the big things, and if you notice here, the glass just suddenly becomes like actually reflective. Things like that are happening, but the image stability issue is good to hear because it was one of the main things that Digital Foundry kept bringing up in some of their breakdowns, was that some of the AI upscaling can cause the image stability to go down. So hopefully more and more of the companies and the developers can leverage this technology in a way that doesn't create something that feels a little bit more shaky. They also were able to add ray tracing. They said, quote, Alan Wake 2 did not feature ray tracing on PlayStation 5, but with the Pro's improved ray tracing features and additional power, we could bring ray tracing to Alan Wake 2's quality mode on the Pro, enabling ray trace reflections on opaque and transparent surfaces. So you just saw a bunch of that, right? You just saw a bunch of those things added, and I'll show you this one as well here. And they were able to bring something then to Alan Wake 2 that wasn't there before, so that's pretty impressive. They outlined what quality mode and performance mode will now feature. They said that quality mode, the PS5 Pro quality mode features ray tracing, which isn't available on the base PS5 version of the game. 30 FPS with ray tracing, ray trace reflections on both the opaque and transparent surfaces. Output resolution will be 4K. They're going to render it at 2176 by 1224, so that internal render resolution is pretty good, actually. Now, the performance mode that you're seeing right here, and it is a work in progress, they said the performance mode on the PS5 Pro features significantly higher output resolution and has more visual detail compared to the base PS5. The Pro performance mode uses approximately the same image quality render settings as the PS5's quality mode. So if you have been playing this game at quality mode on your base PS5, the performance mode on the Pro is going to use roughly the same image render quality settings. They said that the overall stability of the fog, the volumetric lighting, shadow accuracy have all been improved on the Pro. And their ability to output at 4K, the internal render resolution on performance mode is going to be 1536 by 864. So the base PS5 version only outputs at 1440. So you will be able to play this game at 4K 60 in that way, and also that will be a way to then say, hey, I'm not just getting the better image quality and the better render, I'm also getting a higher resolution image. So that one is what they have done with Alan Wake 2. Now, The Last of Us 1 and 2 have both received updates for the PS5 Pro. You can see the full patch notes, but the highlights are basically this, okay? TLU 1 and TLU 2 now have both of the following. It's identical. New rendering mode added that takes advantage of the PSSR. New Pro mode renders at 1440 with PSSR upscaling output to 4K. So 1440 to 4K I think is great. If more games can do that, that's going to be awesome, because that means your internal resolution jump to the 4K is not as big. They're also going to maintain a target of 60 FPS. Performance and fidelity rendering modes are still available and provide smoother experience and higher frame rates compared to the original PS5. So you can use the Pro mode, the performance mode, or the fidelity mode. Everything is improved in performance and fidelity, but you're also having the option of doing the 4K 60 mode that's called Pro. Now, in other PlayStation news, we have LEGO Horizon Adventures previews, and they seem universally positive. Some even drawing attention to how this feels more than just a LEGO game, and some people are being very, very surprised by how much fun they had with it. I'm going to give you some choice quotes. GamesHub.com titled theirs, LEGO Horizon Adventures preview, prepare to be stunned. Some choice quotes from their preview. They said LEGO Horizon Adventures is far more ambitious, far more beautiful, and far more fun than it has any right to be. If you've got preconceptions about its existence, you might like to consider scrubbing them away, because this game has the potential to be genuinely brilliant, not just as a LEGO game, and not just as a Horizon spin-off. They had high praise for the game's appearance, the gameplay. They even said that the co-op gameplay was really, really fun, which gets me excited. You guys know I love co-op with my kiddos and with my wife. They concluded this at the end of their preview. LEGO Horizon Adventures was not distinctly on my radar prior to my preview, which I love the Horizon series. It felt like an inessential spin-off that wouldn't add much to the story. After playing the game, I was glad to be wrong. Across its opening hour, it showed a real sense of spirit and creativity, and if it can maintain its momentum into its next chapters, it will certainly be a novel, all-ages spin on Horizon. Now, Eurogamer, they expressed that at first they were concerned about the blending of the Horizon world in a LEGO game, and they found that, despite seemingly being at odds with each other in many ways, developers Guerrilla Games and Studio Gobo have managed to marry the two together rather well, as I discovered during an hour-long hands-on preview of LEGO Horizon Adventures last week. Now, they especially liked the ability to up the difficulty to something called challenge mode, where you get less healing, that it's less plentiful to heal, and you actually can die and need to be revived by your partner, but if you both die, you have to start that section over. And they thought the following: this adds a welcome layer of challenge for grown-up players who are perhaps going to dive into LEGO Horizon Adventures with their children, but don't want to just coast through a video game where there are no real threats. The option is still there to dial the difficulty back down, however, should these modes prove to be too much. And this is what they concluded. All in all, if you enjoyed previous LEGO games made by Traveler's Tales, I have no doubt you'll also get a kick out of Horizon Adventures, regardless of if you have played Zero Dawn before or not. Yes, it's still a kid's game at its heart, but as a Horizon fan, it's one I can feel much better about when it comes to introducing my own children to Aloy's world, which now also includes hot dogs. Then, very quickly, I'm going to give you two more, just two real quick ones here. Games Radar had a title that says it all. LEGO Horizon Adventure hands-on post-apocalyptic robo-whacking is a better fit for blockification than you'd think. And this is a pretty good summary statement for their thoughts. This is what they said. LEGO Horizon Adventures manages to be exactly what you think it is when you hear those three words in combination, but still buck an amount of that expectation. After playing through the game's opening levels, I'm surprised at how well Studio Gobo and Guerrilla Games have been able to make the story and tone feel distinct by deftly altering the source material's more mature tone to be family-friendly. And also with how the studio has been able to carve out its own game feel that isn't overshadowed by Traveler Tales' monolithic LEGO game portfolio. There were even some people that said they like to see Aloy more jovial and just having a good time, because she's pretty serious and pretty stern and firm in the games, which I think is fitting for what she has to do. And Ashley Birch does an incredible job with voicing her, and that is also the voice of Tiny Tina, if you didn't know. Lastly, IGN titled their preview. This is IGN. They said, LEGO Horizon Adventures feels more Horizon than LEGO. And here's what they concluded. In the best way possible, something felt different when playing LEGO Horizon Adventures as opposed to the countless other LEGO games. It didn't feel like a LEGO game. It felt like a game that just happened to be portrayed through a LEGO lens. Now, I really liked how many of the previews touched on this. Just smashing my way through a Horizon set piece, and it's just like a Lego setting. I think that would have been a pretty boring and uneventful trip, and it sounds like they really shaped this up to be something truly special. So I'm excited that they did that they pulled this off, that skeptics, people that were thinking, yeah, this might not be for me, are saying that it's great. So it'll be out soon, and we'll get to know for ourselves what we think. And something that is not just out soon, but is out today. Alan Wake 2 DLC hits today. Survival horror. You play as FBC agent Kieran Estevez, and there's a new weapon, new enemy type, new location, and new music. So fans of Alan Wake 2, be sure to dive in to the Lake House today, October 22nd. And I now have some games to look at for your wish list and your radar. Big fans of Vampire Survivors as well as Castlevania should be very excited about this. On October 31st, I almost said August. I should have just stopped. That sounded terrible. On October 31st, all platforms, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam, you will get the Ode to Castlevania DLC, playing as all of the different characters from some of the most iconic Castlevania titles. I absolutely love this game. I love the co-op. I played it a bunch with my nephews. This is just in time for my annual trip to Ohio for Thanksgiving, and we're going to play again. I can't wait. I know they're going to be excited. New characters, new abilities, new enemies, new settings. This is just great. The collab that they did with Contra and now Castlevania is just awesome. I'm thrilled for the guys and the team that made this game. They've just seen a massive amount of success, and they are impacting the market. There are other Survivor games out now. One of my favorites is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and I just hope so much that they're going to end up adding co-op to that, because co-op in Vampire Survivors is just so fun. So be sure to check that out on October the 31st. Now, this is another one that's just around the corner, and when I mean around the corner, it's today. Awaken Astral Blade releases today on Steam and PlayStation 5. There is a demo on Steam if you want to try before you buy. It's an action platformer. There's some skill trees and some things that you can do to sort of invest in your character. The movement and the combat seems fluid. It seems fun. You can enhance your abilities. You can enhance your strengths, weapons, and all sorts of things like that. So there is a sense of investment. I didn't get the impression that this would be a Metroidvania, but more along the lines of an action platformer. And it is reminiscent of some of the things you might have seen in Stellar Blade, where you play as a pretty, beautiful, buxom young woman in a very threatening and unique, macabre, mechanical world. So be sure to check out Awaken Astral Blade today. It's available on PlayStation and Steam if you want. And again, that is in a demo on Steam if you want to try before you buy. Now, this last one's been out for a while. However, it didn't do well when it first came out. And I want to put it on your radar because it's doing much better, and they just pushed out an update. So, the Rogue Prince of Persia is described as an action platformer roguelite. It has nothing to do with The Lost Crown, the amazing Metroidvania that I played this year that recently even had some DLC that seemed to do very well. This game here, The Rogue Prince of Persia, now has an 83% on Steam. It is early access. They pushed out a big update. There's new gameplay. There's a new medallion system. I'm really glad to see that they turned this around, okay? I may even check this out today. I have so many games to check out for Member Plus and above, so make sure if you have a membership that you upgrade to Member Plus. It's $6, but then you get access to the green room and gameplay, some of the behind the scenes that we do on the channel. I think I create more members content than I do non-members, so it's a great reason to jump in as a member. This is $19.99 right now. It's $20 on Steam. They have officially said this, they do plan to port this to console when it hits 1.0, so early access, once again, benefiting the player. Whenever you do finally get to play the Rogue Prince of Persia game when it lands on console, you will benefit from all of the changes and updates that it's gone through on Steam in early access. So there you have it, the PS5 Pro getting more and more updates with really great looks from Alan Wake 2 and what they were able to accomplish. The LEGO Horizon previews are here, and they're good. Alan Wake 2 DLC hits today. There were some rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 and PS5. Didn't touch on them. It didn't seem concrete. And there's an update on how soon you can play AC Shadows. They've gotten rid of early access. If you pre-ordered the big dog editions, that's not going to be a perk anymore. And maybe, just maybe, Joseph Staten could be back on Halo. Well, that's the news. And now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Guys, let's get the first 200 likes. You guys have already gone crazy. I already saw it during my show open. Han shot first, and so did you. Joker Quinn bumps the line by 1, but then a 20 bomb from MASH. He says, let's start the day strong, and we will. 131. Now, I have thrown down a gauntlet. 200 is the goal today, right? You want to be on pace. You want to see that hit 200 for the week. If anytime you guys go past pace by 100, I'll drop a 50 bomb. So if you guys go crazy today and hit 300, I will do a 50 bomb. I'll also do 20 bombs when you guys upgrade, if 5 people upgrade. So we want to see more and more people upgrade. You get into more content. It supports the channel directly. Thanks for being here. If you're like, hey, I can't do a membership, I can't afford it, that's fine. Hit like, listen, and lurk every day. That helps me. If we hit that 200 like milestone really early in the stream, it genuinely helps us out. So be sure to hit that thumbs up button. So what do you guys think? I mean, these Alan Wake 2 videos are, I think they're pretty remarkable. Like, I don't know if that's my bag, right? Like, I've kind of learned recently that I haven't had the best experiences when I try to play survival horror games. I don't know if they're like, maybe they're just kind of outside of my wheelhouse, and I think that's totally fine. Like, certain games just don't land on you the way that you would hope that they would land on you. So it's very, very possible that I'll just never really be able to get into those types of games. But man, those videos were very, very compelling. Like, entire sections of the game getting completely different reflections and lighting. They just like added ray tracing. They're like, yeah, we didn't have ray tracing, and now we do. Now, sadly, it's in the quality mode, so I wouldn't get to experience it. I would be playing the game on performance mode. JC with a 17-month renewal, and it's a VIP. He says 17 months of great content. Lono, keep it coming. Thank you so much, JC. You're here all the time, dude, and you're always so positive. I already owe you guys 5, which I'm going to do right now because you guys got us past the 125. So let's just keep this day rolling. Let's keep it going nice and strong. And yeah, unfortunately, the ray tracing that they added will still be in like its own ray tracing quality mode, which means I see the images and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And I'm like, well, I'll be hanging out in performance mode, which performance mode sounded like it got some really good improvements as well. Is this what Butters felt like when Lono got into VR? I've been on ray tracing side for a while. I just turn it off because it's always on performance mode, Zuby. I've been sitting here telling people, if you go back to my video about when I said that the PlayStation 5 Pro would be industry disruptive, I literally said it was because of the ray tracing. You got to give me some credit here. I did my research, and I changed my tone, and I changed my attitude about ray tracing. I still don't turn it on because it tanks performance. I have to play 30 FPS. And a 5 bomb from Belphegor takes us to 137. Keep it going, boys. A little member train to start the day. You love to see it. And already 154 likes. Keep that going as well. You're not supposed to capture the poor thing, except for her. Maybe, what are you guys talking about? It took a mid-gen update for console enthusiasts to admit ray tracing is awesome. No. You're not being fair to my history with ray tracing. I call it a gimmick, and I called it a resource hog. And Wheezy told me to do some research, and he pointed me to some articles, and he pointed me some videos, and I was like, okay, and I went and I researched it. And when I did that, that all predated that first PS5 Pro leak. It was sometime last year when that leak came out. And it said that it would accelerate ray tracing. And Stone Spire with a single gifted, I know what this man's going to do. He's going to walk this to 140. He's hoping for a 10-bomb dunker. Somebody get ready. It'll take him a second to get the other 2. He's always doing it. We are supposed to believe that you read articles with words in them. I'm going to get you the exact date, Zubair. You want to sit here and try and get a gotcha moment on me? No, that's fine. That's fine. Here, I'll tell you. I'll find the exact moment, all right? Disruptive, okay? Market disruptive. The PlayStation 5 Pro will be market disruptive. I streamed it on August the 1st of 2023. So in the middle of last year, I said, and this was based on my research. So my research predates that. I did all my research into ray tracing, and when the first leak said that the PS5 Pro would accelerate ray tracing, I said it'll be market disruptive because this is what developers want. The only reason I knew that is because somebody pushed back on my thoughts on ray tracing, and it was Wheezy. It doesn't matter if it's a real gotcha, Lono. I'll repeat it until it is. The Dutch send their regards. The Dutch send their regards. It would be amazing if you found like a famous Dutch saying to put at the end there. That would have been the crown jewel of the joke. Oh. I'm sorry, I can't see a difference in these Alan Wake shots. They all look the same. Yeah, fuzzy, right? It doesn't look any different. Just entire surfaces now reflecting. The one that really struck me that I didn't get to react to in the live environment was this one. Hang on, let me go full screen. Hang on. This one. Like the differences when they do that, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Joker Quinn does one and bumps it to 39, and Stone Spire backs off, and it's a good thing he does because James rolls it to 140 with a VIP renewal. James says, have a great day, Lono. I was able to reserve a PS5 Pro at my GameStop. Hey, man, congrats. It's one of the best games graphic-wise to play, period. The ray tracing on the game made it look better and totally different game. Seeing reflections of things that are off-screen is a game changer. Yeah, like this to me, I mean, that compared to that, I mean, that is, if anybody says they can't see a difference, I'm like, this is exactly what makes games more immersive. The subtle use of lighting and reflections to make the world seem like living and real. When you expect to see a certain thing and it's there. DK Bager with the VIP. Thank you so much. Anyone talk Dutch here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Where Dutch saying comes to me. Yeah, Boris could tell us one. Alan Wake 2 put me to sleep, but it looks gorgeous. I loved the voice acting and the story and the setting. I really did. I think that I want to go back to it. I do. I want to give it another shot. I felt like I was going to need longer play sessions, and when I was trying to play it, I'd have like 30 or 45 minutes, and then my wife would come downstairs, and it's like, okay, it's time for us to hang out and watch a show. Now she's like, no, if you need to play a game, she's like, you can play for a little bit because she has things she can work on. So now I could maybe play the game for an hour or two. And Alan Wake 2 is honestly a game where she would get invested. She'd be like, yo, what's going on? She'd be helping me figure it out. JW with 44 months VIP plus. Super busy at work. Just dropped by to like and show off the 44 months. Hope everybody's having a great day. Bumps the line to 142, but then it's going to go to 143 because DK Bager, one of the other single gifted champions, gifts a member to the community. I'm not a horror suspense guy, but I made it through. It was great. Can't wait to finish Alan Wake 2 on my Pro. Yeah, at this point, I'll just wait and play it on the Pro. It's in the backlog, so I might as well wait, right? That's a beautiful arrangement. My wife and I, she was watching me play a game last night. I got a code for Vampire Hunters, which is currently out on Steam. It comes out on PlayStation in like 8 days. What was that? Was it? Oh, it was the ice machine. I was like thinking my wife was like back home. I was like, no one's in the house. I just heard something. That ice machine gives me a heart attack sometimes because it literally sounds like a door opening. Like the first little, it does this like sound before it drops the ice. It literally sounds like a door opening. And I'm like, someone in the house? The call is coming from inside the house. But I was playing the Vampire Hunters game last night, and I'll get to play that for you guys on the 30th. And it is definitely a video game. So I'm going to put a bunch of time into it before then to kind of give you the lowdown on how it works, how the meta progression is, and all of that. Really cool game. It's basically a survivor game like Vampire Survivors, but it's first-person shooter, and the guns just fill your screen as you get more. And I was super intrigued, so they sent me a code. So you'll be able to watch that here when it launches on the PlayStation because it's already on Steam. Anyway. PC gamers are coming for you. Yeah, they're coming for me. Anyways, she was kind of like, oh, you know, trying to help me. She's like, where is he? What's that guy? Oh, that's the boss. And she's just like commentating. And then we continued to play the, it's, if you guys are familiar with Happy Tree Friends, They have a game called The Crack Pet Show, and it's really fun. Meta progression, a little rogue, and we beat the 4th boss. Like, there's episodes to every season because it's a show. And we finally beat the 4th boss. We almost had him. I was like, let's try one more time. She's like, okay. And I got an ability that made all of my hits a crit. And I had this crazy weapon that was like a firework. So it would hit and then explode and all the pieces would go everywhere. And every single thing was a crit. So I was just melting the boss. It was really, really fun. It was fun. We might show you guys that on a Friday night. If you guys unlock a Friday night, just so you can see. It's a really fun game. Very, very fun. This week's incentive, if you hit the 500... I have to play the... I can't remember the dadgum name of it. I always want to say don't say a word or don't speak a sound. I can't remember the name of it. It's based on the stinking movie, and I keep forgetting the name of it. I'm so old. My girl put me on when we first started dating in 2016. What PC gamers do in the comfort of their own home to Lono is none of our business, and we shouldn't king shame. And a 20 bomb from MASH says, we want to see it. Quiet Place. Thank you. The Quiet Place game is the goal this week, and MASH is going to help us get a little bit closer. I will play a Quiet Place on Friday. We've moved Friday evenings to Friday afternoon, so you can make me play a Quiet Place. You can make Madam play a Quiet Place as the stretch goal. So you can now get 2 things on Friday instead of just 1. That way, we made this change so more people could be involved. We noticed that a lot of people were like, I'd love to be there, but I can't tune in Friday night. So that's the goal this week. In the spirit of spooky, we're going to be doing a Quiet Place. What's good, Bruno? How are you? And thank you again to MASH. Guys, make sure and say thank you to MASH. And do me a favor. Hit the like button. Let's get that 200 like milestone. That's a great way to show appreciation for MASH and the content and the community here. It helps out the video, meet more people. I've been hearing good things about it. It could be a nice itch to scratch for Alien Isolation fans. Okay. It's Lono around. It's never a quiet place. Yeah, we could do the thing with the mic. You can, like, have it listen to your mic. That could be pretty funny, you know? Like, because I'm going to want to talk to you guys, and I wonder just how sensitive it's going to be. Like, is it going to say, hey, this guy's talking, you know, he's over here. I'm not sure how sensitive it is. It's on the Steam stats for September. What are you talking about, visual walkthrough? Warning, brothers, it's a polarizing game. Watch a streamer play it yesterday and was love-hate. Could be a perfect game for night-based or potential malding. Oh, the Quiet Place game? A Quiet Place will be tough since the mic picks up your speech. I mean, you can just mute your mic if you don't want to have that element of immersion, because then I wouldn't be able to talk to you guys. Excuse me. Great content as always. Thank you, Citizen. I appreciate that. I was watching PlayStation Access footage, and Horizon Lego is genuinely jaw-dropping in motion. Like, it looks so real. The lighting is mad. The cutscenes look great, too. Yeah, the Lego Horizon preview roundup that I did, the general consensus about Lego Horizon Adventures gameplay is that it doesn't really feel like a Lego game. They're like, it's not just a Lego game. It's like a fun, actual, real video game. Because, like, and I don't mean to slander the Lego games. The Lego games are awesome. My son and I played through the Star Wars, the Legacy one, the older one. Every single thing. And we went all the way back. And we unlocked a bunch of characters. It was great. And then we played through the Skywalker Saga. He would always tap out on the Skywalker Saga. And I couldn't figure out why he didn't like it as much. But those games, a lot of the times, are very straightforward. Very like, go here, smash everything, build the thing, go to the next room, smash everything, build the thing. And it sounds like this is very much not that simplistic. Like, it feels more like a good blend of Horizon and Lego. Rich Rod with 20 months in a VIP. How do we feel about Bungie being mandated to be the live service management team? Part of Bungie. Could this possibly be the lack of the Last of Us faction, since Naughty Dog said it was canceled since they couldn't manage it? Well, no, it sounds like to me, and let me add you to the total. 164 on the member count. Guys, make sure and celebrate those renewals. If it's a member plus or VIP, it counts. So check that $ at the bottom of the chat. If you're already paying for the membership, be sure that you get credit for it in the member count. So we knew from the PlayStation Bungie acquisition, we knew that they were wanting to build the Center for Live Service Excellence, or whatever the heck they called it. So it's not surprising we're seeing movement now. There's somebody from Bungie shifting over into a role in that regard. And it's like we kind of knew this was coming. I don't think that Bungie, like the way you're phrasing it, like Bungie's being mandated to be the live service management team. Bungie as a studio is not doing that, Rich Rod. That's not an accurate way to say it. It would be more accurate to say a portion of Bungie or a section of Bungie or a department is going to be assisting, and some of the staff's going to come over and literally head that up. A $5 super chat tip from Street Shadow says, week 2 of Dad Life done. Lono, have you seen that it was actually Lego who pitched a Lego Horizon game to Sony? Yeah, I saw that this morning, and I thought that was really interesting. That Lego approached Sony and Guerrilla, and they sort of pitched it. And it was, apparently, it was like an impressive thing, and they were like, let's do it. Like, that's really interesting that, I mean, because if you think about it, Lego has pull. Like, if Lego comes knocking and says, hey, we would love to make a game with your property, I think even PlayStation is going to sit up and pay attention and be like, okay, hang on, what now? Stop spamming chat with misinformation. The September 2024 Steam hardware survey still has the 360 as the most popular. Oh, what's he claiming? Visual walkthrough is debating. What's he debating with you? Most people are just 4060 cards in September. Are you guys debating different stats? Did you see the Steam users for September? Most people are using a 4060 card. That... What? So, hang on a second. The entire hardware distribution of cards on Steam just changed that fast? I thought the vast majority of cards were well below that. All those people switched to a 4060? Or are you saying the ones that were actively being used in the month of September, not like every single user on Steam? Are you saying the people that booted up and played a game? I have a hard time believing that. All the stats were very spread. There were so many people on lower end cards. Jonathan Adams became a member, and he evens it out. 165. Thank you so much. And that is 10 away from the next milestone of 175. Thank you, Jonathan. Tempting somebody to do the 10 bomb. Jonathan, if you end up liking the content and you want more, Member Plus, it's $1 up, but it counts as 2. I count it as 2 when you upgrade, and you get into the green room and you get into gameplay. So right now you get into the Discord, Friday streams with me, Friday streams with Madam, morning coffee, writer's room. You get a lot, and you can just bump up for a little extra, and you get 2 more things. You get green room and gameplay. So welcome in. Try it out for a month and see if you want to bump up. Man. I think the 3060s that still dominate, but it's a 60 class card. Highly doubt that. Most, really? Yeah, how could it suddenly be the most? Sounds like someone misinterpreted the data. That's what I'm saying, Gavin. Like, what data point are you pointing to claim that most of the cards in September were 4060s? Yo, Leo Mero with 14 months. Scary game. Let's go. How old Jeanette Hood van den Netherlands? Did I say that even remotely correct? Thank you so much for the VIP for 14 months and 34 months from Julio on a VIP as well, and takes us to 167. Thank you guys so much for doing VIPs for Member Pluses. Only wish I could do more. Thought I did pick the Plus. Oops. Yeah, I wish I could make Plus the default so that when you went to become a member, it just started on that one, because the $5 tier is really reserved for gifting, so that I can do more for folks that are paying for their own membership. So like gifted members get a ton, but then I do a little bit extra for the people that are paying extra. I got a good PC and I'm still getting the Pro also. 3060 and under is the most popular GPU on Steam. That's what I was thinking. Like, you hit a certain threshold and down, and that's the majority. And then you go up, and it just gets smaller and smaller percentages. Member Plus from Detective Seeds. Good morning, brother in chat. Have a solid stream. Thank you so much, Detective Seeds. Thank you, sir. In any case, The subjects today aren't GPU distribution on Steam. That doesn't feel worth that doesn't feel worth debating. The point that we've been talking about is we've been talking about, and you guys can bring up whatever you want. I'm not telling you not to bring up the Steam card thing. I don't find it that interesting because it's just like hard data and stats about hardware distribution that shows, you know, a good portion of the user base on Steam are not on high-end rigs, which is fine. But we've been talking about the Alan Wake 2 PS5 Pro enhancements. We've been talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, also seeing patches go out for The Last of Us 1 and 2. And then there were rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I didn't run with those rumors because I didn't think they were very good. It was somebody's LinkedIn. It was very vague. It wasn't clear what they were referring to, so we didn't run with that. And there it is. I'm going to count that as 2, Jonathan. I'm going to do it. You're the man. This dude just upgraded to Member Plus, and you guys know the drill. If 5 people upgrade to a Member Plus or a VIP, I drop a 20 gifted membership bomb. So, he just did it. We need 4 more people to upgrade. Use that upgrade command, and let's bless some folks. You guys hit that goal, and I'm going to drop that 20 on the chat. The Black Myth, Wukong, and benchmarks on Steam highlighted users. Is that what he's talking about specifically? I'm going to celebrate my membership on the 1st. I need to move the payment to the 1st because everything else for me comes out on the 1st. No, that's totally fine, Haseo. You do whatever's best for you. If you need to take a break from being a member or downgrade or whatever you need to do or switch to when you sign up, you do what's best for you, man. You always have to come first. I'm on the verge of finishing my gaming room and want to build build a race simulator. So I'm using the Pro for it. I mean, the GT7 crowd, man, I think they're going to be really pleased with the Pro, you know? The PS5 Pro is more powerful than the majority of rigs people have. I mean, this is a debate point that always gets sort of muddled and misrepresented, okay? On the one hand, I totally get why the PC Master Race guys look at the Pro and they sneer at it because it's everything that they don't like. It's a closed system. You have to pay if you want to play online games. There's exclusivity contracts. They like the freedom of a system that they can tinker with and open up and update and add to, and maybe they've spent a bunch of money in their system. To them, it's like unappealing. To them, it's like a vegan steak, and they're used to eating like the most expensive ribeye in town. Because that's what they're doing, right? They're going to the very upper echelons and spending all this money, and then they're looking at this and they're like, yeah, that's imitation. Now, I think that's an extreme view. I don't agree with their view. Like, I understand it. I'm like, I get why you think that way. I don't. And what Eugene is saying, it's not just a majority, the vast majority, right? According to the hardware reports, yes, the vast majority of people are on rigs that won't be able to do what the PS5 Pro is capable of. And that's going to be, I think, a continued dialogue point that gets turned into, just hurling insults. And it's like, I'm just speaking in facts. I don't care what people do. But it would appear to me that there's a strategy in play here. A hardware company, a tech company, is bringing hardware to the market that is outpacing the majority. Not accidentally, sorry, I was reading what Lone Wolf said. A hardware company is bringing a piece of hardware to the market that's going to be at a higher level than the majority of PCs out there. There's got to be a reason behind that. If you think from a business perspective, stop thinking about yourself as the consumer. Stop thinking about terms like pony and master race and all of this. Just stop thinking about all that. You have to ask the question, like, why would Sony and PlayStation be investing money with Mark Cerny and research and development and developers and AMD and coming up with their own proprietary upscaling and advanced ray tracing? Why would they be doing all of that? Do you think it's just because they want to make a little bit more money from their most hardcore audience? Still on this topic, thumbs down. Somebody brought it up, Monty. Change the subject if you don't like it. Rather than be a baby, like, oh, you're on this topic, bring up something else then. Somebody brought it up. Don't like it? Change the subject or the channel, brother. Don't be a naysayer. We talked about Horizon. We talked about Alan Wake. We've talked about all kind of things this morning. For goodness sakes, we talked about games and rogues and co-op. We've been on this subject for, 5 minutes, and you're going to bellyache? Well, bring up something else. We're interchanging topics, Don't be a baby. It's relevant. Alan Wake 2 just put out a bunch of videos just yesterday. It's like, look at the ray tracing. Look at the differences, right? Like, seriously. What do you want me to do? Not cover this? They just released this yesterday. Come on. Yeah, we talked about the concept of reality in Morning Coffee. We don't need to be mean. I'm just saying, change the subject of the channel. It's up to you. I'm not dictating what chat brings up. I'm just responding to what people are saying. What about the Pro on eBay prices? Are there people stupid enough to be selling it on eBay? Why would you do that? Who's gonna buy? Oh, are they the 30th anniversary ones? I mean, I could see selling the 30th anniversary ones for sure. Yeah, now we're talking about you, Monty. Now you're the subject, all right? What's everybody think about Monty Mole and why he's a total jerk in Super Mario 3 when he pops out of those little holes? No, I'm just kidding. What's your least favorite Super Mario Brothers enemy? Mine's Monty Mole. What was I talking about? Repeating. I think it's better to say the experience on the Pro will be better than the experience of most PCs. Don't speak to the power of the hardware. Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah, this is what I think often happens, Zuby. Right. If you use certain... I've learned this the hard way. I've learned this the hard way the last, 2 years. If you use certain phrases, everybody's brain shuts off, and they just grab preconceived notions and throw them at you. I'll give you an example. There are industry insiders, people in the know, Xbox podcasts, all kinds of people that are saying, yeah, we're hearing Halo might be coming to PlayStation. And when I say that, I get called a port beggar. All I got to do is report on it. All I got to say is it's likely to happen. And I get called a port beggar. Why? Because people get angry. They hear me say it, the brain shuts off, and they just grab a preconceived notion and go, port beggar. It's like, what? I have Halo Infinite on Steam and Xbox Series X. Why would I port back? They don't care. They don't hear any of that. And another upgrade, that's 2. That counts as a double. When you guys upgrade, I count it as 2. 172. 2 people have upgraded today. We need 3 more people to upgrade. And I will drop a 20 bomb. Thank you, hardcore, magnanimous gentleman. He didn't just upgrade. He picked Member Plus. You don't even have to upgrade. If you're brand new and you pick Member Plus, you add to that count. If I get 5 Member Pluses or VIPs a day, like new or upgrade, I'm telling you, we're going to bless some folks. We're going to keep adding to the count with those member gifteds. Keep it going. We are 3 away from me owing you guys 5 at 175. Thank you so much. Price and experience is probably the best framing. The PS5 Pro experience is better than most PCs, and the PCs that are noticeably providing a better experience are at a price point most people are not willing to pay. Yeah, maybe that's the vocabulary we should shift to. What's good? What's good, hardcore magnanimous gentleman? That's such a great name. Tamer says, what do you expect? Selecting a certain dialogue option triggers the script of NPCs. Are we living in a simulation? Yo, a single gifted from TJ Triz. Guys, if we hit 500 members this week, I got to play A Quiet Place on Friday. 174, another one comes in from Alfonso. If you hit 500 this week, I have to play A Quiet Place Friday afternoon. If you hit the stretch goal, Madam has to play Friday night. We've moved Friday night to Friday afternoon so more of you can come, but we're still letting you do it. If you guys hit the stretch goal, you get a double header on Friday. So thank you so much. When I saw how much they were asking for the Pro, I was shocked. Still kind of am, but when you consider from nothing to what the PS5 Pro can do is impressive. Well, there was some real interesting commentary, and there it is, 175. Legend renews 29 months in a VIP. There was some really interesting commentary from Digital Foundry about this, okay? And essentially what they said was, John Linneman was talking about it, Richard Ledbetter was just kind of asking the boys, at the table. What do you think about the price of the Pro in relation to the other hardware that's out there? And essentially what John Linneman and they all agreed upon was nobody's dropping their prices right now halfway through, and that's typically what you would expect. You would expect halfway through the gen to see prices going down, and nobody's doing that. Xbox is doing it. PlayStation isn't doing it. This is related to a larger situation. Like, I think it was John Linneman was like, they're not charging this because they're just like greedy and want more money. It's quite literally because they don't have a choice. He said they would probably want to drop the price because the price becomes a barrier of entry. These companies like to get production costs down. They like to see margins go up. And typically halfway through the gen, they're able to do that. They're able to say, hey, production's in a better place. Margins are better. We can drop the price. That will drive more sales. They have a vested interest in saying, yep, we're halfway through. Prices are coming down. Or, oh, hey, the price point's going to land here. So I thought it was an interesting perspective. It's like these are realities or market realities, inflation realities that are more impacting the choice than we want an extra $100 per person. Part of it's because they are greedy and want money. They could drop the prices, but they want to protect their margins. Right, I think what he was saying is it's not just because they're like, hey, we're going to get more money. It's we have to do this. Like, we can't just be like, oh, no, it's totally fine. We'll just eat it on every single sale. Inflation in global economy and currency rates are real and have real-world effects. Exactly, Beef Monkey. Precisely. And I think that it was just refreshing to hear somebody basically say, yeah, nobody's dropping their prices. Nobody's dropping their prices. Like, if you look at it, I mean, typically right now, that's what you would be seeing. You would be seeing all of the consoles drop in price because we're halfway through the gen. And I just think that, I think gamers have a really, really hard time seeing the forest for the trees. You can show them ads from Toys R Us from like the 80s and the 90s where cartridges for Nintendo were like 70 or 80 bucks, which is like $120 according to inflation. That's how much it costs to like go get yourself a game back in the day. It was expensive. As a hobby, gaming's actually more affordable than it's ever been. You've got subscription options, free-to-play options. You've got little indie titles that are like, $20, $10, the huge Steam sales that they have. You are swimming in an ocean of games for a fraction of what it used to cost. Genuinely, you are. I honestly think the quantity like almost numbs us and like blunts us to the fact that we are actually in a great era for gaming. The existential crisis YouTubers that keep saying why modern gaming sucks and gaming's terrible now. It's like, no, it's not. You're either not playing the right games or you're just falling prey to negative click rate drives engagement. I've played more great games in the past 4 years than I probably ever have when a generation starts. And some of that's my own fault because I stuck to and primarily played like Destiny and Call of Duty. I think a lot of people do that. I think they orbit around one game and then they gravitate to just the big AAA titles and they're like, well, Star Wars sucked. Industry sucks right now. You know what I'm saying? I do. I wonder if there are behavioral habits within the gaming world and the gaming community that when you primarily only play Call of Duty or you primarily only play some live service game like Destiny, Apex, or Fortnite, and then a big game comes out, you're like, oh, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go play Star Wars, and Star Wars ends up sucking, and you view the gaming world through that lens. You're like, yeah, gaming sucks right now. Hardcore Magnanimous Gentleman with a $5 super chat says, remember 2 weeks to go on the PS5 Pro. If you guys trade in or sell, it doesn't, and don't forget to remove the external SSD from the PS5 and use it for the PS5 Pro. Dudes, there you go. Thank you for that PSA. Muln says, Lono, do you believe in sequelitis? Mystic Ryan made a great video today pointing out how the loud, hardcore PlayStation fans are becoming disenchanted with their best IP, Spidey 2, Horizon, God of War. What say you? With respect, I think these people are stupid. That's the most respectful way I can say it. I think that they're stupid. All of those sequels are evidence of a successful launch of the first game. Like, you're your own worst enemy if you see Spider-Man 1 crush it, Horizon Zero Dawn crushes it, God of War 2018 crushes it, and your expectation and your deluded entitlement, like whiny baby sentimentality is to say, well, don't make a sequel, make a new game. Like, that's stupid. I don't have any respect for that. That's such a dumb way to think. That's dumb. Like, you expect a business to be like, we took a huge risk and made Horizon. It was a huge hit. What should we do next? Well, you know, really, really whiny, entitled babies on Twitter are going to be mad that they're only getting sequels. So let's take a massive amount of risk and throw away all the endemic institutional knowledge and assets and animations and all the things we learn. And let's just throw that in the garbage and start over in a brand new game. Because, I mean, we don't want those people to be mad, do we? It's stupid. It is. There's not another word for it. It's stupid. They had massively successful titles. You're gonna get a sequel. Like, then you look at Halo, then Halo 2, then Halo 3. Like, come on. When you launch an IP and it's really successful, it leads to sequels. Like, hello, like what planet are we on? How many Call of Duties have come out, for crying out loud? Like, when you have a successful IP and a successful franchise, they're gonna make more? Did anybody complain about, you know, getting multiple Iron Man movies? Don't talk about Iron Man 2, you know, but, you know, did anybody complain about getting a second Captain America movie after the first one crushed it? Civil War? Really? Another Captain America movie? I mean, come on. Like, nobody thinks in these ways. You're like, you were excited to see more Cap. Yeah, right, Ghost. Minimum wage was like $2 or $3 back then. Yeah. Listen, somebody's like, well, how do they get this way? That's the question. How do they get this way? This is related to a theory that I put out there. Guys, take a really quick second and smash the like button. Loving the conversation, loving the back and forth. Marvel movie sucks? Okay, sure. Tell that to all the money and praise and adulation they made over a decade of having one of the most impactful, long-standing tales of multiple movies, multiple story arcs, multiple characters. Sure, yeah, they all suck. I've talked about this before, so I have a theory. And my theory is, I call it the metamorphosis principle. And what happens is, you go through a metamorphosis every time you play a game that's significantly better than what you have played before. Okay? And metamorphosis is strange because you don't sense that it's happening, but it completely changes your expectations, your standards, and your viewpoint. All right? Let me give you an example. So, the first time you played GoldenEye, it like blew your mind. It was like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. All right? And if you go from GoldenEye to Gears of War, you experience a metamorphosis as a gamer. You're not just thinking about the fact that, like, Gears of War is awesome. You're thinking about the fact that I have never had an experience like this before. The danger, the latent danger here is that gets baked into your schema of expectations. You now expect new video games to do that. Why? Because you've experienced that for a really long time. The jump, the graphical, the gameplay, the innovation jump from GoldenEye to Gears communicates to your brain that that's what a new game should do. Now, I want you to imagine going through this metamorphosis over the course of, you go through it in the 90s, you go through it in the early 2000s, you go through it in the 2010s, and you walk into the 2020s, and you are now hardwired to think of games in that way. You don't just want a new video game, you want a new and elevated experience, because that's what you expect. That's what's been happening up to now. In walks the PlayStation 5. And the jump and the innovation is a little less noticeable. It's there. It's there. It's clearly there. It's measurable. You can see Horizon Zero Dawn to Forbidden West big jumps. But what did all of these people say when those first trailers came out? Yeah, it doesn't look much different. Looks like more of the same to me. Just looks like more Horizon. Just looks like more Spider-Man. What's that? It's the metamorphosis principle firing. It's firing. It's saying, I've done that before. I've swung through the city of New York before. I've taken down big dinosaur robots before. So because the experience, innovation, graphics, because that elevation's less severe, they interpret it as a negative. They interpret it as a negative. And let me give an example of why it would be appropriate to think in this way. Imagine a game launching at 30 FPS when you've become accustomed to games launching at 60. It's a break. It's like a break in expectations. It's like, what are you doing? Imagine a game being much shorter than its predecessor. What if Horizon Forbidden West was like a 9-hour game? People would have been angry. Why? Because their expectation is this needs to be bigger and more grand than the last. Well, that's more clear. You can pinpoint that. You can label that. You can say game length, game size, whatever is shorter. You can say 30 FPS is a measurable lowering of performance. It's more difficult to put into words when you're like, I know Horizon Forbidden West is a bigger and better looking game, but there's this intangible lack of severe elevation of performance and severe elevation of experience and innovation. It's less severe, and so your brain says, this isn't as extreme or good or better as it should be. I've outlined this before. It's a philosophy that I've come up with. It's a metamorphosis principle. And the metamorphosis principle basically says whatever you have felt and sensed going from one game to the next, from one generation to the next, it has set that expectation. And when something doesn't jump to that extreme, you interpret that as it's falling short. You're not wrong to think it, but I just think it's a silly way of viewing things. It's like, bro, these games are gorgeous. Like, the water looks real, and the foliage, and the faces, and doesn't matter. The leap isn't there. It's a jump, but it's not this big leap. Or the person just doesn't like it. Well, that would be awfully bizarre, Monty. I'm presuming that if they're complaining, they liked the first game. If you didn't like Horizons, well, no, I think that's fair pushback. There could be pockets of people that say, I didn't like Horizon. I would like Guerrilla to go back to Killzone. I didn't like God of War 2018. I would like a new IP. That's fair. There are people like that. Again, I just think it's really, really foolish and stupid to think that, oh, wow, they had a really successful new IP or soft reboot or whatever. They're not going to do another one. Right? A lot of great names in here today. We've gotten a lot of new people to come and listen every day. Listen, if you've never been here before, I go by Lono. The name of the show is Reforge Gaming. It's a safe for work broadcast. A lot of people treat me like a gaming podcast, like a radio show. They throw me on in the background of their day. They work and lurk. And you can do that because I'm safe for work. Do me a favor and hit the like button. Let's get 300 likes. There's a lot of you here. Let's get some members going. We're 25 away from 200. That's the pace we need to hit each day. If you guys surpass the pace by 100, I drop a 50 membership bomb to 50 people. And a $20 super chat tip from Hardcore Magnanimous Gentleman says, I bet Ubisoft are working on a PS5 Pro dev kit fixing the most flop game Star Wars Outlaws so they eventually release a new patch for PS5 Pro in November. I will hold my breath till PS5 Pro launches so I can get Alan Wake DLC. I don't know. You can make Star Wars Outlaws prettier, but the gameplay loop was just... They're addressing some of the stealth issues, but man. Also, if you've never been here before, subscribing is totally free. Hit subscribe, hit the bell button. If you want to participate in a bigger way to get into all of my content, hit join and pick the $6 Member Plus tier. You get into the green room and gameplay and behind the scenes. I don't like Odin in the new God of War. Oh, I thought he was wonderful. Insomniac Black says, could part of the problem also be because people that grew up with video games are older now and have more disposable income? When you were a kid, you probably got maybe 3 or 4 games a year. Right, you could apply the theory of why the spoiled kid is less satisfied swimming in toys. His satisfaction level's lower than the kid who has like 4 toys and he cherishes them. I feel like some of this is related to my upbringing. We were like a middle to low income family, so I didn't have a lot of toys. I had some. We were not like destitute, so my family was always good to make sure we got great presents for our birthday. But you'd go to your friend's house and he'd like dump out a laundry basket of Ninja Turtles, and he didn't have any of the weapons. Stuff was broken and mistreated, and that was blasphemous to us. It was like, why do you treat your toys this way? Because we would have a couple of action figures and we would treat them as if they were made of glass because we treasured them. And I think we got a greater sense of fulfillment and fun out of playing with them than the kid who's just swimming in toys and they almost mean nothing to him. Like their value inherently goes down. It's possible that because we are just swimming in media and shows and movies and video games and just stimuli, that our ability to enjoy has been blunted and it's like gone down, and we need higher highs to feel something. There's obviously, I think, an element of brain science to some of this. Yes, that's to why you are miserable and don't enjoy your games. This is one of the reasons why I've encouraged people, take breaks from the main game that you're playing. It's hurting you. It's hurting you. Like, you're just getting less and less and less out of it. To take a break. Like, there are times where I think the best thing for you to do is take a break from your main game and just play something random, something small, something goofy, and like spark that childlike mirth and enjoyment again in just playing a video game. I'm sorry, is that not the same point that Mystic Ryan made? I don't know. I didn't watch his video. Somebody brought up his video and it sent me on this rabbit trail of, I've outlined my metamorphosis principle before as to why gamers are growing in their sense of dissatisfaction with brand new games. No matter how mind-blowingly beautiful they are, it seems like people's ability to be satisfied is going down. Mullen says, with all these teams doing new IP, can you envision a reality where fans moan they should bring back Horizon, Naughty Dog should make new T-Lu, Santa Monica should revisit God of War? Oh, of course. And the Agent of Chaos is Alfonso. He gifts a member, pushes us past 175, on our way to 200 members. On pace for the week. You guys are crushing it. Let's get 20 more likes. Take a quick second and hit that thumbs up. Butter says AAA is stagnant, which is why indies are getting so much more attention. How is AAA stagnant when the AAA games are topping the sales charts? What are you talking about, Butters? New ideas can be tested in indies, while AAA games are required to play it super safe. Oh, you're qualifying stagnant. But if we look at the sales charts, really? Last year, you think Baldur's Gate 3 is super safe? Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is not AAA. It's AAA quality. I mean, Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario and the remakes that were last year at the top of the charts and at the top of the Game Awards tables. I'm sorry, voting podium. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I agree with what you're saying in principle, that indies can take bigger risks and do really cool, quirky, fun, innovative things. You know, listen, this is what I think AAA should do. If I was at a AAA company right now, I would create a department called the Innovation Research Task Force, right? You're the Innovation Research Task Force. And what I want you to do is I want you to go and see and play and research the breakout indies, these little titles on Steam that are blowing up. They got great review scores. They kind of come out of nowhere. And I want you to glean, get ideas. How are they handling loot tables? How are they handling content loops? How are they handling power fantasy? How are they handling skill trees? Go out there and glean. We can't move the rudder of the ship that raucously. We'll set ourselves on a crash course of bad things. The game's too big, the studio's too big. Your job is to go out there and research what people are doing, because you're right, the indies are innovating and coming up with new ideas, and AAA studios would be good to having teams that quite literally monitor that so that those things can then be incorporated into their bigger games. Like, let them do the research for you. Like, they're little games that come out and try things and they flop or they explode. Baldur's Gate 3 should never be used as an example of AAA gaming. They're an outlier. Everything else I said then. Everything else I said. Everybody keeps saying that gaming is dead and AAA gaming is dead or stagnant, and then I look at the Game Awards and I look at the sales charts and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see evidence of that. I see evidence of some AAA games coming out and just being absolute bombs. Usually it's a matter of it's not ready. Jedi Survivor, Star Wars Outlaws, you know. Then you got the situation with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, yeah, but that doesn't represent every game that has come out and is coming out. Right? I always think in gaming, you could, if you want, it's a form of cherry picking. It's a form of stacking the deck. You can go out and grab all of the worst launches, worst examples, and you can paint a picture that, yeah, gaming is in a terrible state. I can do the opposite. I can go out and grab all the breakout titles, all the big sales, all the high praise, all the review scores. Look at the games that have come out this year and the scores they're getting on Metacritic and OpenCritic, and I can say gaming is the best it's ever been. Neither of us are wrong, and neither of us are right. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Yeah, Elden Ring, Hogwarts, Spider-Man, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Like, just chart after chart after score after score. Just games coming out and just getting high praise. Like, you take 2 seconds and go to OpenCritic, and really, I just think change your perspective here. All platforms according to score. Let's just do 2024. Astrobot, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, Balatro, Satisfactory, Tekken 8. I'm just listing the big ones. Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, Animal Wealth. These are all games in the 90s. Then you get down into the 80s, and you got Super Mario and the Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. Persona 3 Reload, a Warhammer game. Silent Hill 2, Dragon's Dogma 2, that game I played, that indie title, Neva, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. All the updates have been doing to Vampire Survivors, and the one I talked about this morning, Frostpunk 2, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Vessel of Hatred, and Diablo's getting high praise. I haven't even gotten to the games in the low 80s yet. Nine Souls, a little indie game, little indie platformer game where you fight. I don't have time to play all these. Crypt Custodian, that game I showed you guys, Kill Knight, Max Mustard, Wolong. Wolong actually had some issues when it came out. There must be something else there that they did. It's charting for some reason. Helldivers 2, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Now, not all of these are AAA, but a lot of them are. Plucky Squire, Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade. That's just me randomly picking out games that have done well, gotten good scores, high praise in the top 100 games. Randomly picking the bigger, more well-known titles out. Super Mario Party Jamboree, Space Marine 2. It's a matter of perspective. It really, truly is. It's a matter of perspective. You could look from different vantage points at the same thing and come to like very different conclusions. And I just think a lot of gamers are in a cycle of negativity, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube. And so they get this idea in their mind and they're viewing everything through that lens. And they're just like, yeah, Yeah, Cat Quest 3, my wife and I were playing that. That's a cool little game. It's a matter of... I think it's a matter of perspective. You could make the list that I just went through, you could make a similar list of all the games that have gone poorly. Yeah, the Sonic the Hedgehog game, Alan Wake, the Alan Wake DLC, Astrobot. I think I already said Astrobot. The only perspective that matters is mine. Sure, but the question is, Vengeance, can new information change your perspective? Right? I thought, and I had a perspective about ray tracing that you could argue rather easily. Ray tracing is a gimmick. It doesn't really change the experience of the game that much, and it's a resource hog. That was my perspective on ray tracing. And it'd be really easy for me to argue that. I could go to every single game that adds it, show how much it hogs up the resources, show how much it tanks performance, and say, ray tracing is stupid. Somebody changed my perspective with new information. So, my view of ray tracing now is no. It's not a gimmick, and it's not a resource hog. This is industry tectonic. This is what devs are going to use. Yeah, it was Wheezy. Wheezy was the one who changed my mind on that. He had some articles and some videos. I watched them, and I said, oh my gosh. Which is why in August of last year, when we heard the PlayStation 5 Pro was going to accelerate ray tracing, I said, this will be industry disruptive. This console will be industry disruptive. Developers are going to want to develop for the PlayStation 5 Pro. And look at what we're seeing. Alan Wake 2. Hey, we added ray tracing to our game. It wasn't there before because of the PS5 Pro. Somebody just said that the Lies of P stuff just came out, like what they did with their game. I told you that was going to happen. I said devs are going to line up and say, we want that PS5 Pro enhanced label. We want to leverage that new technology. It's already happening. The magnetism of the Pro has already taken place, and it isn't even in the hands of the consumer yet. My entire perspective on that changed with new information. So if your perspective is that gaming sucks, gaming's in the toilet, AAA gaming is awful, change your perspective. Look at the information affordable to you. Look at OpenCritic. Look at Metacritic. Look at the scores. Look at what people are saying. Look at the sales charts. Are you sure that it's headed for a crash? Are you sure that it's in the toilet? Or are you just watching YouTubers who have a vested interest in saying that because how many videos have come out now talking about how modern gaming sucks? And look at the viewership they get. It's insane. The viewership's insane. 3 years ago when I found you, I was a hardcore Xbox fan. Now I acknowledge that the PS5 is an acceptable console, and I don't even own an Xbox anymore. Did you just switch to PC, Vengeance? I know a lot of Xbox guys have just switched to PC. Because PC Game Pass is probably now the single greatest deal in gaming as far as gaming subscription cost to value. I think PC Game Pass is the best now. As far as like you can spend the smallest amount of money and maximize the most amount of value. Yeah, you switch to PC. Yeah, that tracks. I get it. If you were hesitant to give PlayStation the time of day, you're going to have more of a magnetism to PC, and I think that's totally fine. To me, I think right now it makes the most sense to either pivot to PC or PlayStation 5 Pro. Like, I think those are your two choices if you're really unhappy with that, what Xbox has done. Especially if you're like me and you're a Series X owner. It just makes the most sense to either go to PC or PlayStation 5 Pro, or honestly both. I'm going to end up with a high-end rig at some point. If we can hit the member goal, we'll do it. I'll build it. It'll be hilarious. You own a DualSense controller? I used to not. I hated the PlayStation 4 controller. I hated it. I used a Chronos so that I could play like God of War and Spider-Man on my PlayStation 4 Pro. I liked the Xbox controller more. But the DualSense really changed my mind. Don't think it's a gimmick, but there's a reason to take special cards to run it. Yeah, I mean, new technology is always going to have that level of latent, disruption where you need new stuff to run the new stuff. I mean, that's true of televisions and Blu-rays and everything else. Like, it's not abnormal for that to happen. Let me see how many people have upgraded today. Okay, still just 2. Hardcore magnanimous gentleman has upgraded, and then Jonathan Adams upgraded. So if we can get 3 more people to upgrade to Member Plus, it's $1 to upgrade. I'll drop a 20 bomb. So use that upgrade command in chat, or if you sign up brand new and pick Plus, that counts too. While you guys are chilling, hit the like count, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think. You guys can change the subject. Now's a great time to start adding questions to the question queue. That is something that only members can take advantage of. So feel free to do that as a member. And now is also a great time to start gifting members and get more people involved in the channel and what we do here, since we're going to be potentially pulling up questions. I would say that podcasts or streamers are to blame. My guess would be if people are negative about gaming and down on it, I'm willing to bet that those folks play one game 98% of the time, afraid to try anything new. Very nice haircut. Thank you. I think this is a theory that I've had for a long time, that because a lot of the people that I interact with, are Destiny, Destiny refugees. Yeah, I think a lot of people fall into that, where they are playing Call of Duty or Apex or Fortnite or Destiny or whatever their choice live service game is, and they just live there. And the familiarity breeds contempt. They just start to get sick of the game and sick of the updates and sick of the same old. And this is true. If you're in a bad mood, it's almost like you can't enjoy anything. You've been there, right? I've been in a bad mood before and tried out a new game, and anything the game does frustrates me, right? It's like when you're in a bad mood and the smallest inconvenience sets you off, and it's like, yo, what's going on here? It's not that big of a deal. But when you're already in the bad mood, it makes it difficult for you to process disappointment or accept enjoyment. It's like there's blockers in the way. There's probably brain science to this. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. So I think these people that live in games developed sort of they're almost like their posture is grumpy. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much, dude. They're just kind of grumpy. And because they're kind of grumpy, everything is filtered through the grumpy lens. And it's just easy to be like, yep, games suck. Games aren't as good. Whatever the case may be. Guerrilla Games on switching from Killzone to Horizon. We are done with it. With Killzone as a team, as a studio, we need to refresh the palette. It was by choice the opposite of Killzone. I bet they're glad they did. Horizon's been massively successful. I told a person from Xbox he was hardcore online gamer to try story mode of Red Dead Redemption. He did and said it was boring and whack. I realized he only played competitive online. You know what's interesting about that is I remember when all I ever played was Call of Duty with my friends, and I would try out other games. I definitely think that when that happens, it's like when... I'm trying to think. Okay, have you ever been jumping on a trampoline or riding on a ride at the fair or riding on a roller coaster, and then you get off and it's hard for you to feel stable for a second? You were just going incredibly fast. You were just bouncing. Like when you get off of a cruise and you still feel like the motion from the waves. It's almost like playing a game at that level. Like you're always dropping, you're always shooting, you're always in a firefight. It's almost like coming down from that intensity makes it difficult for another game to really hit. You're just like, yeah, this is boring. Do you see what I'm saying? It would be like I'll make a better example that's far more relatable. It's like when you're driving on the highway and you're maintaining 80. You got the cruise control set and you're just humming, and all of a sudden traffic gets congested and you have to slow down to 65. it feels like you are crawling. You're like, oh my gosh. 65 miles an hour is fast. You're traveling at a very fast speed, actually. But your perception is that you're not. You're like, oh, goodness gracious. I think that's what it's like a lot of the times. You come out of this hot drop, battle royale, shoot, drop, shoot, drop, over and over and over and over again. And then you step out of that, and you have to like watch opening credits. And you have to like listen to dialogue. And you have to like walk through the town. And you're like, just get to the point! Well, it's because you just dropped from 80 miles an hour to 65. It's not that 65 is slow. It's that the perspective is that this is ridiculously slow in comparison. I think that's what happens. Yeah, just let me cruise, exactly. La-di-da, Mr. Fancy. Dude, my 2000 stick shift Honda Civic had cruise control. But you get the point. It's like, again, I think people do, like, they blunt themselves. Like, it's really hard for you to enjoy a game that, like, takes its time. Like, a lot of these guys that talk about the PlayStation games, like, they're just movie games. It wouldn't surprise me if some of them genuinely think that, because they're just seething through a cutscene. It's like, just get to the next thing. I just want to run around and shoot. And it's like, part of the art and part of the beauty of a game like Horizon or The Last of Us or God of War, if you've played them and you enjoyed them, you understand how different they are. But from the distant viewer, it's like, it's boring, it's a movie game, because there are significant interludes of just like dialogue or a cutscene. That's the issue. Like, they can't see it another way. They're like, that's boring. That's a movie game. You're just standing around. And then when you actually play them, you're like, yeah, that's just not true. They're not all of the same. Like, they're not even remotely close to each other. The third-person perspective, I think, tricks people into thinking there's nothing unique about the game. Like, you could go from Returnal to Spider-Man to Horizon to God of War to The Last of Us, and when you put a little screenshot on a little screenshot on Twitter, and you're being like cute and like, yeah, hating, you can make them look like, yeah, they're all the same. It's like, they're not even remotely the same. They're not. There's almost no common threads between them. There just isn't. If you play the combat in God of War, and then you play Returnal, and then you play The Last of Us, and you're bouncing between all these games, they're not even remotely the same. The gameplay loop, the combat, the pacing, all of it. It's like, there's almost no thread of commonality between them except for the camera angle. That would be like saying Hades and Diablo 4 are the same. That's how stupid you would sound. That's how stupid these people sound. They just sound stupid and uninformed. Yeah, Hades is basically just Diablo. No, it's not. Just because the camera's in the same position doesn't mean they're the same game. That's just ignorant. Anybody with a brain knows that's ignorant. Again, it's always a matter of perspective. If you're unwilling to change your perspective, you know, I think that just says a lot. I think it says a lot about the view. The view is threatened by new information. It's like, I was open to thinking differently about ray tracing because I was uneducated about it. Hades is the god of the underworld and demons are from the underworld. Checkmate. Raven said, that's why I take a break from gaming. Yeah, no, I think that helps too, Raven. I do. I think it helps. I think when you take a break, you come back and it's like fresh and exciting and new, you know? I mean, it's interesting too how like an experience can serve as a catalyst. So my experience with Returnal served as a catalyst to me seeing like, oh, that's why people like rogues. Like, I had played The Binding of Isaac and I kind of understood it. But Returnal was like a gateway. It was like, it like opened up the door and was like, this is why people like these games, bro. And now I've played a bunch of them. I've put in so many hours into like Gunfire Reborn. And I know that the Survivor thing isn't necessarily a rogue, but like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor has those rogue elements, right? You do a run, you get different modifiers, you die, you start over. Like the Survivor games are essentially rogues. It's just a different concept of combat. Exactly. There's a lot of downplaying games to fit this industry crash narrative, for sure. Over the past year, I have re-engaged with single-player games after playing online shooters for over a decade primarily, and it's been so refreshing. Yeah, if you can get into one, Nova, if one of them can capture you, it is. It's like a doorway into a whole world of games that you might have always kind of like turned your nose up to. Just a thought, says Zubair. But I wonder if your job and life are kind of boring and you use games as a challenge for challenge and growth. Maybe your reliance makes you hypercritical. You need it in some fundamental way. Well, there's probably different avenues of that, Zubair. If you're approaching gaming and you have some level of dissatisfaction in life, deep dissatisfaction or just low-level dissatisfaction, don't like your job, don't like your marriage, don't like whatever, you know, you're unhappy at some degree, and you come to gaming to get happiness. You don't have control over your life, so you come to gaming because you're going to get control. You're going to be able to control what's going on and have a good time. If the game's disappointing, buggy, glitchy, or you encounter any frustrations, I think there's a monster inside that's provoked that says, this is unjust. You know, anger is a response to like unmet expectations because there's almost like a latent belief that there's injustice there. And so, yeah, you come to a game and you're like, I'm going to get happiness and excitement and joy out of this. And then if you don't get that, or you don't get it to the degree that you were expecting, it's like you lash out. Sounds more like a midlife crisis. No, it would just be a basic cycle of attempting to rectify a problem in the wrong way. I just saw on Twitter that apparently you can buy personalized audio setting in the new COD. You can buy... What exactly are you buying, Ghost in the Garage? Days Gone is unappreciated. I played it when I got my PS5, and I loved it. No, it was really buggy and glitchy when it came out, and it really overshadowed the game. It's a great game. It really is. It's in the backlog for me. It's one that I want to finish, because I remember being sort of blown away at the quality of the facial animation and the emotion capture. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, this thing got a raw deal. Well, that's what happens when you launch a game and it's not ready. When you launch a game and it's not ready, what do you want? You got to blame somebody there, whether it's the devs or decision makers or publisher or whoever. I think too many people will go full throttle with their hobbies and it ends up ruining them. Yeah, I mean, you guys are getting into territory where I don't want to get too into some of my own beliefs, but yes, I think in general, when you turn good things into ultimate things, they will betray what you're hoping to get out of them because they're not an ultimate thing, right? You put it in Discord. All right, hang on one second. A personalized profile analyzes your unique head and ear shape for precision sound. Universal profile assumes an average response. Create your personalized profile above. Get the immersive game pack. What? So it's going to like give you unique sound experience because you pay money? Imagine many gamers in front of the TV like Mike TV from Willy Wonka literally shouting die, die, die at the screen. Imagine them being asked to run a package up the mountain in Death Stranding. So Call of Duty microtransactions are going to offer you the ability to like pay for excuse me, a unique sound experience? Member Plus renewal from Bubba J, 19 months. Longtime worker, love the great news content. Keep it up. and order more coffee. Thank you. That bumps us a little bit closer. The daily goal where we want to be on Tuesday is at 200 members, and we're on pace. If we hit 500, I have to play A Quiet Place on Friday afternoon. We've moved Friday evenings to afternoon so that more of you can watch me play a spooky game, scary game, rage game, whatever we decide for the week. You can also make my wife play it. You can open Friday nights back up with The Stretch if you go beyond the 500. We're now offering you guys 2 extra pieces of content on Friday instead of just 1, so that way more people can come. So make sure you're renewing your memberships and also bumping up to Member Plus or VIP because it counts, and I also have current incentives for you to do that. I'll actually do a 20 bomb of members if we get enough people to upgrade in a day. 2 people have already done it. We only need 3 more people to upgrade. Where's coffee? I've just not been putting it in the frame. We were making a couple of changes and getting ready to do some emails to remind people about it. So I stopped putting it in the frame because we were making a bunch of changes, and I just we were kind of putting it into the background. Been listening a while, says Ron M. Working here, have to agree. Days Gone is an awesome game. Clear every horde here and platted that game. Have to say, I didn't even have to look up task or plat that game, which was nice. Oh. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You don't have to look anything up. And Alfonso bumps the line and says, let's do it. Let's get this thing moving, boys. Let's hit the pace for the day. And I'll still do that too. I'll drop 50 members. I'll give 50 members to the community when you guys go past. Like if this hits 300, I drop a 50 bomb. If you guys go past pace, I'll bless the community. I'll be like, man, here's a 50 bomb. Thank you. Like that's what we try to do here. We try to pay it forward and take care of all the folks that cannot afford a membership. So that way they can get into all the extra content. 25th. Are you aware of the latest PS5 update? You can create personal 3D audio profiles for individual ears. It's so bizarre to see something, Call of Duty sell it. And Talents joins the little member train, starting with Alfonso, and bumps the line to 179. Thank you for gifting a member, Talents. Yeah, COD comes out on the 25th, yeah. That's this Friday. We'll be playing the campaign. I usually like to stream Call of Duty release dates and just play the campaign, basically. That's what we like to do. I went in hardest difficulty and played blind and loved it. No spoilers. And I found out it had not great reviews and some didn't like it. Where is it now on the PlayStation Store, though? I feel like it's gone up, has it not? Because it has a good score on Steam, I believe. It has a 4.62 on PlayStation Store. That's a 92%. It is a 92% on PlayStation from the users. And then when I go to Steam, it has a 92%. Alfonso gifts another one, and he's tempting a 20 bomb, 180 members. Nice little setup there. Really good layup. Alfonso puts it in and says, listen, boys, somebody should drop that 20 bomb. And we don't have any questions in the queue. So remember, guys, as members, you can submit questions at any point during the stream, and I'll pop those up on the stream and let y'all direct what we talk about. And CB4 Omega, 36 months, 3 years. That's a big one, and bumps the line by 1. I appreciate that very, very much. This guy just commented on my PlayStation 5 Pro was underestimated video, and he says Xbox won the generation. Sure, Jan. Swogs with a 34-month renewal, and it's a member plus, so it counts, and bumps it to 182. I'm trying to think of one, but I can only think of one was going to bring up the bet again. Which generation? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Daydreaming. Pac-Man on a Bike's going to use the question to ask a more personal question and says, what is your go-to candy or snack? I don't know if I have like a go-to. My wife and I love popcorn. Like Skinny Pop is a great brand, and their microwave popcorn is very good. Dude, a cold beer and some popcorn and some pepper jack cheese is like just such a killer snack. That's typically where I go. I'm more of a salty, savory guy. You know? I am not a ice cream candy guy. I don't go for the sweets. I go for the salty. I think it's because my wife prefers sweet. She likes sweet things for sure. It's kind of how you're raised, I think. Like we were raised, and typically in the home, the snacks were like pretzels. And my mom just typically didn't buy candy, sweets, and things like that. Favorite beer? I pretty much only drink IPAs now, not as like because I'm some kind of a hipster. It's because I used to drink like the cheap stuff, and then somebody introduced me to some really good IPAs, and now it's like I love them. I don't know if I have a favorite. I typically like... Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I like Voodoo Ranger. I like their stuff. You just can't go wrong with like a good hazy. Yeah. I'm kind of becoming more of a bourbon guy though. Like, I don't know. It's, you're not drinking as much, You have a nice glass of bourbon to end the day instead of like, because like beer's kind of heavy. So I'm becoming more of a bourbon guy. A little bit of, Knob Creek single barrel or Woodford or something like that. Let's take a gaming question here. Hadigan says, Lono, in your mind, when does an indie developer cross over to double or triple A, being purchased not included? This is a really interesting discussion. So we debated this a while ago during morning coffee, and we didn't really come to a consensus because the pushback, the side that was arguing against me, was basically saying AAA comes down to either being owned by, the big publisher as well as the spend, like the budget. They were arguing that the budget or ownership determines AAA. Now, my frustration with that is I think that gets out of the realm of how it's typically used as more of a colloquialism with respect to team size. So if you have a team of 75 people and Microsoft publishes your game and spends a massive amount of money on the budget, that doesn't suddenly make that game a AAA game. I think that's confusing. There are tons of indie level, AA level games with respect to team size that are published by and heavily marketed by some big parent company. And for that to suddenly turn into a AAA game, I just think is confusing. I don't think of Astrobot as a AAA game. Small team, it's more AA, and yet PlayStation's marketing spend on it has been pretty big. It's like Astrobot's been everywhere. Billboards, trailers, going to big events like Tokyo Game Show and stuff. And it's like they've been giving it the AAA marketing treatment. To suddenly be like, well, it doesn't matter that the team worked on it's 100 and it's a small game with respect to scope and size. It's now a AAA game. Yeah, Tamer, I agree. I think indie AA, AAA, I think it's more helpful for it to be based on studio size. Because you can have a studio in the 100 to 200 employee range get massive funding or publishing, like Concord as an example, and Firewalk. Nobody would look at Concord and Firewalk and be like, that's AAA, but the amount of money they spent was triple to quadruple A spending. And yet you look at the studio size and the scope of the game, and it's what's more of a AA game? Astrobot promotional costs made it AAA. Here's the thing about why I think that's unhelpful. Nobody cares about the budget. Nobody cares about the budget. They care about scope of scope of game. Scope of game is almost inherently linked to scope of the team. Arrowhead made Helldivers 2, the scope of that team is going to limit the scope of the project. Like, Helldivers 2 was never going to be like an MMO light action live service game like Destiny. They don't have the scope for it. So PlayStation comes in, publishes it, spends a bunch of money on the marketing, and now it's a AAA game? That's just really confusing. I just think it's confusing because everybody's thinking in the realm of game size scope, team size scope, but they spent a bunch of money on marketing. Who cares? That doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter to me. As we have used it as a colloquialism within gaming and the gaming industry, indie was like small little scrappy teams making small little scrappy games. So think about all of the games that are now published by ID at Xbox and then marketed and given better spending. Are they now not indie games? They're AA or AAA depending on the spending? Team size and budget go hand in hand. Well, with marketing, that's not true, though. That's where it gets confusing. Like, Astrobot's budget and then the marketing spend, it's like the budget to build that game was probably not as large as like, well, maybe not the marketing in total, but that's why I think it's confusing, is because as gamers, we have typically considered indie and AA to be the smaller games, the smaller teams. No one has ever been like, but what did they spend on marketing? I've been covering games for a decade. That was never a part of the equation. Now we're suddenly injecting that, and it just gets confusing. It's like, so now size of the game, scope of the game, size of the team, and scope of the team doesn't matter. Because if a big parent company publisher swoops in, publishes the game, and dumps a bunch of money on the marketing, now it's suddenly a AAA game. Like, that's just, to me, super unhelpful and lacking in clarity. You don't have to agree with me. That's just my opinion. I just think it's confusing. It's like you're going to take a little indie game or a little AA game and some big company decides to help publish it and they spend a bunch on marketing and now it's a AAA game. It's like, what? My expectations of a AAA game like Horizon Forbidden West is driven by the team size, not how much they spent on marketing. On the subject of Rogue, says Insomniac Black, I think I finally get it now. I played that one game I told you about, and while it has issues, I think I actually may want to play more of them. I have to try out Returnal. I think Returnal is actually one of the harder ones to get into. You need something with a quicker turn you need the dopamine to hit quicker. Like, it's the bite-sized gaming. Gunfire Reborn is what convinced me, like, oh, this can be really, really fun. It gives me the sense of like the bombast and the looter shooter and the almost like the Borderlands experience, but in like a bite-sized format. Returnal can take a while for some of that meta progression and some of that to land, because like the guns get cooler with time, but I feel like the meta progression is more long tail in Returnal gameplay. I love Returnal. It's one of my all-time favorite games, but I don't know if that's the great. What's interesting is it's the game that got me into Rogues, but it was because they rebalanced Biome 3 and then I beat the game and I was like, this is a freaking work of art. This is amazing, and that's what converted me. If a game is made by 5 people and then Sony markets it, you wouldn't call it a AAA game. That's what I tried to do, Trill, in the debate. I tried to go to the extremes to establish some kind of like a bright line or some kind of a barrier of like, if you got a team of 10 people and for whatever reason, Xbox or PlayStation's like, this game's huge, we're going to market the heck out of it, it doesn't suddenly become a AAA game. Like 10 people worked on it. Returnal was your first rogue. Dead Cells is a good starting rogue. I think good rogues are to get people into rogues. You got to have, I think, a smaller cycle of like, oh, I get it, and then there's meta progression that's almost like immediately detectable. The reason that game got me is because it was an action game. I love games like Stellar Blade and Metal Gear Revengeance. I wish there were more rogues like that. There's a lot of rogues coming out like that. There actually are. I've been trying to wish list as many of them as I can. So when you say action, do you care if it's top down? Because if you don't mind top down, you know what game I want to try? Housemarque's first game. What's it called? Like Vex something? No, Housemarque games. Next Machina or Machina. I don't ever know how to pronounce it. Let me show you this game, dude. Let me show you this game. Bullet hell twin stick shooter action arcade. I don't know if there's rogue elements in this, but you can 100% see the influence in Returnal in this game. This is 100% one of the things that has influenced Returnal with the bullet hell and the sort of quick frenetic action. This is one I've definitely wanted to try out. I just think it's going to be too intense and too fast-paced for Madam. I don't think she would like it. It's got a really good score on both PlayStation and Steam, and 89% on Steam. But yeah, I unfortunately I hate top-down. Okay, so if you hate top-down, I'm trying to think of some others that I have wish listed that you would like. Because there are a bunch of these games coming out. So many rogues and survivor games. They're awesome. Yeah, but I guess I could try and find them later for you. Some of the ones that I found. I'm scrolling through my wish list and I'm forgetting which ones would sort of fit what it is that you're looking for. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Does the Rogue Prince of Persia have meta progression similar to Dead Cells or any at all? Well, let's see, because I actually don't know. The Rogue Prince of Persia meta progression. If a game doesn't have meta progression, that super kills it for me. This thing here says skill tree upgrades are the first form of meta progression in the Rogue Prince of Persia. Introduced in the Temple of Fire update, the skill tree can give the prince some much needed defense upgrades and help build up your currency faster. So yes, there are skill trees and meta progression elements in the Rogue Prince of Persia game. It's one of the things I want them to add to Brotato. Like, I don't understand Brotato. As a game, it doesn't make sense to me. Why do they let you increase the difficulty? Like, what's the point? You don't have any meta progression. You can't, like, make the guns or the characters inherently stronger. They can only get stronger if you go in and, like, level them up as you're playing. Ghost of Yote can now be wish listed. You got a link here. I'll use Discord. Let's see. I want to see something if it's wish listable right now. There it is. Yeah, they don't have any stats. I wanted to see if it was PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced. It doesn't say. So, just like turn-based, I simply can't get into top-down view. I don't have the patience for rogues, and my limited skills have deteriorated. You'd like Fury? Yeah, Fury, the boss rush game. I played that. I don't think I finished it though. Hyperlight Drifter has a game coming out called Hyperlight Breaker. And it looks like it's going to be in a similar vein, but I think more action-oriented, like behind the player, not top-down. I mean, not action-oriented, sorry, more third-person. So. Raijin says, do you have any interest in Billionaire? Instead of billionaire, billionaire? I've seen some hype around it. Described as a fast-paced pachinko roguelike. Demos on Steam. I really, really liked... what was it called? Peglin. Peglin was like an RPG turn-based game with the pachinko mechanic. Oh, I think I saw this and I meant to check it out. Design the ultimate pachinko board. Okay. And so you get money to become a billionaire. Oh, roguelike? Combo crafting chaos? Oh, I'm in. I am so in. You say there's a demo. All right, wish listing that. We have so many games to check out today in Green Room if we have time. Oh my gosh, there's so many games. One of the strangest collabs ever. Knight, Samurai, Vikings, Wu Lin, and Outlanders prepare to upgrade your armory. Equip your favorite warrior with gear delivered straight from the last city during the Light of the Guardians Halloween event. What the frick? What's that a collab with? Ubisoft? Destiny's doing a collaboration with Ubisoft about what, all the different Assassin's Creed games, I guess? Oh, For Honor. Sorry. It doesn't say in the tweet. It just says a bunch of different, like, warrior types. All right. We're going to keep going through these questions. Guys, we are going to go to the writer's room in about 20 minutes. You've got 20 minutes to hit the pace. You want to be at 200 by the end of today. And obviously, if you blast past, I'll do the 50 bomb if you can get to the 100 above. And Broken Surprise says, in your opinion, does Nintendo have anything that could sneak onto the Game of the Year podium? The Mario and Luigi Brothership game is their last shot. And I just don't know. The competition's really thick right now. And I don't know if Brothership's going to land high enough with the score. I feel like Mario and Luigi Brothership will be like 84, 85 on Metacritic and OpenCritic, which is a perfectly fine score. But you got to be like upper 80s, low 90s to even be in contention because, again, it's a jury process where the quantity of votes, like you're not going to get enough votes if you're in the mid to low 80s. It's super, super competitive this year. You have games like Astrobot and Rebirth and Metaphor and Like a Dragon. Like, all these games are just with really, really strong scores and strong reception. Ghosting is nearly gone in high contrast scenes. Motion blur is lighter and faster, with faster frame rates, and performance spikes are seen on the PS5 with ray tracing are reduced on the Pro. It's a video to compare motion. What game is this that they're comparing? Is this Dragon's Dogma? Are you seeing the difference here in the image clarity and the blur, like the blurring effect as he's running comparatively to the Pro? Good golly. Yeah, that's Dragon's Dogma 2. This is where they were talking about the most troublesome areas. Look at the frames per second. The most troublesome areas in the 30s, and it's in the mid 50s on the Pro. Oh, come on. Oh, that was performance versus quality. Okay. All right, so performance, it's still about 10 above. Oh, now they're showing it against RX 6800. It's a 32.9 average performance increase, the Pro versus a PC graphics mode. Okay, so now we're in performance mode. Oh, this is standard PS5. We're not on a Pro. Go to the Pro. Okay, so performance mode on the Pro, because here's the thing. Dragon's Dogma did push out a patch to fix this. You'll notice on the standard PS5, performance is better than it was. They pushed out that patch saying you should be getting into the 40s in some of the more troublesome areas. But look at the Pro. It's in performance mode. It's in the mid 50s. Like VRR will protect you here if you have a VRR compatible monitor or television. Jiminy Christmas. That's one of the more troublesome games with frame rate in particular. And you're seeing significant jumps. Yo, OGDSB with a membership renewal gets us to 183. Guys, click that $ at the bottom of the chat. Double check that and see if you have a membership renewal. Those count in the total. Slightly deceptive because they also made a significant patch recently that culled NPC AI's burden on the CPU across all plats. Well, I mean, you notice when they compared the performance modes, Dragon's Dogma 2's performance was better on the PS5 than it had been in the past. It was in the 40s, which is what they said you should get. Now, because now they're saying you should get 50 to 60, but that again, I'm assuming is in the open world. They're going to the most troublesome area, which is when you're in town. But like you're saying, yeah, maybe they need to do a comparison with the patch and the update, and they've not been able to do that. If that's pre-patch, then it should be even better after the patch, should it not? You should see improvements on both Pro and standard PS5. Oh, that's an actual comparison of the new patch. Oh, well then there you go. Yeah, you've seen improvements on base PS5, and then the Pro is in the 50s. That's great. If that's the worst area... Dude, if Final Fantasy 16 was in the 50s in town and when I'm exploring, I'd be totally fine with that. Videos from 2 days ago. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's try to get 400 likes on the video. Let's have that be our goal every day. Each day we've gotten to like the 380s. Let's try and get up there. So make sure and double check you've done the thumbs up. You've done the thumbs up thing. Videos from 2 days ago. The patch is really new though, so they must have immediately gone into like trying to get capture because the patch is very new. It like just came out, what, like last week? Before the patch in town, I was 55 to 67, says Wheeze. Now you're 85 to 90. Okay, so that NPC fix has really helped. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. That's good. That means that we should see jumps as well on standard PS5 and Pro. I just beat Nico Dorico, The Magical World, yesterday. Game's good, 8 out of 10, lacks polish. But if you like DKC and Crash and Rayman games, yeah, we checked that one out on a trailer. It doesn't seem like something that I would like. Now, I don't even know even if the kids, but it did look like it kind of hit at the heart of those older style. Oh, this press release does say that Awaken Astral Blade is a Metroidvania. The one that I put on your guys' radar earlier today. Let's see how it's doing. Awaken Astral Blade Steam. And a $20 super chat tip from Talents says, I'm a bit behind, but Spider-Man 2 DLC to become a spin-off game is a maybe. Miles Morales was a launch title for the PS5, which could have positive, negative metrics on potential spin-offs that's not launch pro ready. Yeah, that's basically what we kind of came to, was that it was you know, they were in a position to basically either do a new game with the spin-off or do DLC, and we all just kind of came to the conclusion the DLC is probably more valuable. Oh, Awaken Astral Blade's not available for, like, according to this, like 12 minutes. Thank you again for that super chat. That's very generous talents. You guys are super close to the pace of the day. We need 17 more members. Make sure you guys are doing your renewals because those count as well, or upgrades. Yeah, so there are no reviews yet for Awaken Astral Blade. It's got like a 12.5-minute countdown here on PlayStation. So this is also on Steam. You can play the demo on Steam if you want to try before you buy. The press release they just sent me says that it's Metroidvania, which I suppose it looks like it with some of her abilities and stuff. Like, you'll be able to get into new areas with, like, that lasso ability usually is something you get later, and then you can, like, go up certain chasms and walls and things like that. I don't think the DLC would have been worth it at all. Yo! That reminds me a little bit of Sundered. When you have, like, such a big boss. Yeah, this looks pretty sick, honestly. I hope it gets good reviews, because I've seen a lot of these games lately, and then they get bad reviews because, like, the control and the combat's frustrating, so people score it low. This looks good. Yeah, we covered the PlayStation 5 Pro Alan Wake updates and things like that. I checked out the video and the blog post. I pulled out some of the high points. Clean is a relative term. I mean, it's a good first step. You know? It's a good first step. Hopefully it leads to more good things. All right, we got 11 minutes before we go to the writer's room. You guys can submit more questions if you want. You can ask me pretty much anything, you know. You can turn it into a bit of a gaming AMA. And if you guys are one of the new members, either through gifting or picking up your own membership, make sure you get into our Discord. That's a great way to get plugged in and meet people and not miss out on any of the events that we have going on. I love the enhancements for the Pro and Alan Wake 2. I'm hyped. Yo, Brett jumping back in as a member plus. Is that an upgrade, Brett, or is that a renewal? If it's an upgrade, it counts as 2. Let me double check on the back end here. I feel like you've been at that level for a while. You have. Okay, that bumps the line to 184. Thank you guys so much. Upgrades of Member Plus and VIP count every month. When you do that initial upgrade, though, I count it as 2. Jonathan and Hardcore Magnanimous Gentlemen both upgraded today, or both did Member Pluses. It's an upgrade. It said that you've been at the level for 8 months. Oh, did you drop off the level for a while, Brett? Are you jumping back in for the first time? Let me see something. Am I misreading this? Total time as a member 23. Oh, no, it says upgraded 0 days ago. I'm sorry. You must have been a Member Plus for a while and then dropped off, maybe? Okay, that's 3 then. That is 3 upgrades to Member Plus. We need 2 more people to do it, and I'll drop a 20 bomb. Use that upgrade command, boys. Just 2 more if you need to do it. That's the most upgrades we've had in a while. That's a standing incentive, is that when 5 people upgrade, I will gift 20 members of the community, and 3 people have done it today. Thank you so much, Brett. Tidying's the first step of cleaning. Yeah, like if you've ever watched Hoarders, I mean, first things first, they got to get like the big ticket items out of the way. Will you and Doc Tark review Alan Wake, you on PS5 Pro and him on PC? That's not really content that I make. Like, I'm not really known for like circling back and reviewing a game on the Pro or like tech aspects. That's not really what I do. I can do reviews. I really like to do them, but we're not quite at the size where we get codes super early. I need the code like 2 weeks before. I'm super busy. So it's like, you give me a code day of, and I can stream it and show it to people, but I'm not going to circle back 2-3 weeks later and do a review. By that point, it's over. Everybody's already done their reviews. I need the code like 2 weeks early if I'm going to do a review, because I want to do it right. I want to methodically play through the game, test systems, capture footage, and give you guys a really thoughtful piece of content. And when you're our size, you just kind of have to wait your turn. You know, that'll be something that's afforded to us one day. You know, and then I got a code for that game, Vampire Hunters, and I think it's better for a game like that for me to just stream it for you instead of putting together a review, because it's already on Steam. There's already reviews out there. To me, it makes more sense to showcase it and say, hey, let's check out this game together. How many games are getting 14 days early? Most outlets get it like 2 weeks early. What you talking about? Like when we did Avatar, I had the code 2 weeks early. They're not giving codes to these outlets a day, 3 days, or 4 days before. A lot of the times it's 7 to 14 days, somewhere in that hemisphere. And also, those outlets don't stream every single day and manage a YouTube channel all by themselves. A lot of the guys that do the reviews, that's what they do, is upload. So they're not streaming. They're playing the game. They're recording footage. They're writing their script. You know, I've been a live streamer for a decade. That's just not my wheelhouse. Like, if you guys sub to me hoping to get like reviews, you sub to the wrong channel. We almost never do that. We don't have time. My value offering as a content creator is a live, interactive, safe for work talk show environment that covers the breadth of gaming news. And if you want super thoughtful, skill up level reviews, that's not something that's possible. I'm one person, you know. On average, most games send codes 14 days early. Yeah, I mean, that's typical. They want them to have enough time to play through everything. You know, they don't want somebody rushing. That's always the dilemma, right? Like, you give somebody a code, you don't want them just like rushing through the game and like feeling stressed and pressure, and then that's going to shade their view of your game. You want them to basically be able to play through it and enjoy their time. Water Marlin with the Member Plus, 31 months. Thanks for all these years of entertainment, dude. Thanks for getting close. You're getting close to 3 years. That takes us to 185. We are 15 away from 200. Let's do a last-minute scramble. Let's get 15 more people in here. I'll owe you guys a 5-bomb, and we'll be on pace for the week. And then we'll go to the writer's room. You guys got 6 minutes? If you can't do a membership, gift a membership, renew or upgrade or anything like that, smash that like button. We need 40-something more likes. 14 days seems wild. I guess maybe AAA is normal on that. Well, it also depends. So sometimes they have codes being distributed through like an agency, and that agency will send it to smaller creators, and they'll give it to you like 5 days before or like a week. The big major outlets, IGN, Eurogamer, you know, before Game Informer was gone, like big YouTubers, yeah, they'll give it to them like 14 days because they want it to be a good exhaustive review. Alfonso says, come on, boys. Many hands make light work, and he bumps the line one more time with a single gifted. Thank you so much, Alfonso. He's trying to rally the troops before the end. Let me pop up a question here from True SSJ Havoc. Lono, before the whole Xbox got no games thing, the latter few years of the 360 were relatively light in exclusives. Did anyone else notice this? I was debating a friend about this. I don't know the precise timeline, but we have talked about this periodically. And when we've talked about it, the general consensus is that they started leaning away from exclusivity. Jadix with the 5-bomb gets us even closer. Thank you so much, Jadix. Takes us to 191. Welcome in all of the new members here at the buzzer. Thank you so much. I don't know the timeline. I don't know the numbers. This is just something that we've talked about. I'm just relaying to you kind of like the conversation. The general conversation consensus in the field was that around that time, Xbox started leaning away from exclusivity and paying for it. And then you walk out of the 360 era and into PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One era, and that's the beginning of the end. Xbox completely bumbles the announcement. They focus on TV. They force people to pay more money. It includes a Kinect camera. It needs to be always online. And the PlayStation 4 marketing was able to kick the crap out of Xbox by being like, you don't have to be always online. Here's how you share a game with somebody else. And they were cheaper. And PlayStation 4 started pushing into exclusivity deals. They started pushing into exclusivity deals. They did it with Destiny 2. They did it with Call of Duty. And I think they really, really put the pedal to the floor. And when Phil Spencer says, that was the worst generation to lose, I mean, it's because they lost. They really, really did. I mean, they made a absolute, they just bumbled big time. They could have been in a position to really compete and have a great back and forth that gen. They've got more money. It's so weird that it happened the way that it happened. They have so much more money than Sony. Like, Microsoft's got so much more money. And it's like they could have been paying for exclusivity deals, locking down big games like COD. They could have scrapped the whole Kinect thing and sold the one at a competitive price. And they could have really, really put up a fight. And they didn't. It didn't. And that's why when we walked into this era with the Series X and the Series S and the PlayStation 5, I don't understand the strategy that I honestly think somebody somewhere thought, this is what it feels like to me. I've actually never put this theory together until right now. I feel like they said, we made a huge mistake during the Xbox One era on price and PlayStation 4 undercut us. What if we do the same thing this gen and we have an option in the market to undercut PlayStation on price? Enter the frame, the Xbox Series S. And I think that was the last big mistake that they made that secured their fate as last place non-competitor in the console landscape. They're nothing now in the console landscape. They're not. They're a publisher. And their future hardware will probably, according to everybody that's either in the know or into analysis or looked at the leaks, their next piece of hardware will not be a traditional console. They're just walking away from that fight because Xbox One blasted a hole in the bottom of the boat, and then the Series S came in and made the hole bigger. Cutting price was too late. People decided in 2013. Right. If you really think about it, I think that's what they said internally. We got to go to Writer's Room in 1 minute. You guys have 1 minute to get 9 more members. Let me make sure redirect is set up. It is. Let me get you guys a link. We're going to get out of here. You can do one last mad dash scramble. You guys love to do that and stall me out. Let me get you guys this link, and then I'll spam it, and then I'll start the new stream and redirect you in 1 minute. The first half of the 360 was incredible. Then they slacked off, had PS3 catch up on them. Well, you got to remember the Red Ring of Death, and they had to halt production. It cost them billions to rectify Red Ring of Death and to replace people's consoles. Some people had, 3 and 4 replacements. By the time I got into the 360, all those situations had been rectified. I got into the 360 when World at War came out. So I walked into the Xbox 360 era totally oblivious to all those problems. My friends told me the horror stories about it, and I had one of the newer versions of the 360. And a 20 bomb from Ghosts in the Garage Gaming. The big man steps back into the ring. This dude has done, he used to go crazy, this guy. Thank you for your long-term support of the channel, Ghosts in the Garage Gaming. This guy, always faithful, always supporting the channel, always so kind on Twitter. Unbelievable. I told you guys, if you guys go 100 past pace, I drop a 50 bomb. I don't think you have time for that now. If that hits 300, I drop a 50 bomb. I don't think you have time for that. The big boys would all have to descend in a matter of moments. I'll give you a few minutes, but we're going to go to Writer's Room. That's why I went back to PS4 back when they wanted an entertainment box in 2014, not a gaming console. Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine about this because he was just asking about what I do, and he was like interested and and what's been going on, and I was just talking to him about the history of Xbox because that's where he said the last time he played was 360, and I was like, yeah, I probably would have guessed 360. A lot of people just drifted during the Xbox One era, Yeah, there's the 5 that I owe you guys for the 200. Thank you again, Ghost in the Garage Gaming. You're the homie. Now, I'll give you guys an extra 5 minutes if you want to scramble, because like I said, I'll drop a 50 bomb if you hit 300. If you guys go 100 past pace, I show big appreciation for that, as well as, like I said, with the upgrades. So I love gifting members to the community when you guys go crazy. It's fun. PS4 got the COD deal. Well, and Xbox could have continued to keep it. Xbox could have continued to keep it. Like, they could outspend PlayStation. Like, that's why the Xbox loyal and the super hardcore Xbox fans, that's why they bewilder me. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand the level of loyalty. They botched this time and time and time again, and your only victory is they bought ABK, and all that was an exit. That was them walking away from the fight and saying, well, yeah, we're just going to publish now. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It was like they could have outspent Sony when it actually freaking mattered, and they didn't. They didn't. Xbox has the COD deal now? No, they don't. They don't have an exclusivity deal now. They own the property. And because they own the property and they answer to shareholders and a parent company, they don't get to do anything with Call of Duty other than use it as a cash cow. There's no exclusivity option now. When you don't own the property and you write big fat checks for exclusivity to funnel people to your platform, that's a different relationship. Xbox put the checkbook away. They're like, no. We're making a TV entertainment device. That's why they probably did that. Somebody somewhere was convinced that Xbox could tap into a larger market and generate more revenue and get more consumers because they created this innovative camera motion sensor. It's like, oh yeah, motion sensing for the Wii. We'll do our own motion sensing with the Kinect camera. Oh yeah, TV entertainment. We'll bake that in. And it completely and utterly backfired. Then it was too late. It was like, well, now you try to make it a gaming centric platform. Now you want to try to make a run at gaming. Oh, it's too late. PlayStation swoops in, undercuts you on price, secures Call of Duty with exclusivity deals, and just starts putting the absolute pressure and turns the screws on you and says, we're just going to push into gaming full bore. And then just dust Xbox. Just leave them in their dust. That's what happened. I genuinely think they thought that like the Xbox One era was going to be their era where they mushroomed out and hit a broader spectrum of consumer. And now I think that same level of hubris is still in play. What are they trying to do? They're trying to get mobile and non-gaming people to game through the cloud on a Fire Stick or to game on their phones. And it's just like, you're going to a market that's not going to suddenly turn into this mushroom of gamers. You're not going to suddenly get a bunch of people who don't play games to be like, well, I'll play a game through the cloud on my smart TV or my Fire Stick. They're doing the same thing. They're chasing a larger consumer grab. Instead of fostering a reliable consumer base that they could slowly grow and generate revenue with and generate profit with, like Nintendo and PlayStation have done, Microsoft continues to chase non-gamers. Don't you see? They haven't changed. They're just aiming the target at something else. They're still doing the same thing. It's like TV. We want people that aren't gamers. We want to appeal to a broader audience. They're doing the same dadgum thing. But the way they're going to subsidize it and the way they're going to fund it is by making money off of PlayStation and Nintendo. That's how they're funding it now. They've completely left that fight to say, well, now we own all this property. We'll make a ton of money publishing games over there on PlayStation. And the funny thing was, I saw a meme of a guy who was like, saying it had like Phil Spencer, and he was like driving these, I think they were like donkeys, like, plowing a field, and basically like, PlayStation works for Xbox now. And it's like, you've got it backwards, mate. You've got it backwards. Xbox is the one spending all of the money on keeping production going. So production cost of Call of Duty, marketing cost of Call of Duty, uptick, updates, maintenance, servers, all of that, all the support teams, all the infrastructure is now a cost shouldered by Microsoft. And PlayStation just gets to keep doing what they've been doing. Scrape 30% off of every Call of Duty purchase. Like, you got it backwards, mate. PlayStation's not working for Xbox. Xbox is working for PlayStation. Think about it. They're the ones that have to spend all the money to bring COD to the market. It's like, PlayStation doesn't have to do anything different. There's like, yeah, we'll just keep scraping 30% off every purchase. And we don't have any skin in the game. If the sales go down, if the marketing spend hurts margins, if the investment hurts margins, if the operating costs of the massive leviathan of Call of Duty, if that starts to threaten margins, doesn't hurt us. We got no skin in the game. We're not making the game, supporting the game, developing the game, distributing the game, marketing the game. I mean, they are marketing it, but I don't think that's going to last for long. I think that marketing contract expires after Black Ops 6. So, you got it backwards. We got to get out of here. We got to go to Writer's Room. I gave you guys a little bit of extra. We got on a little rant. Click the link in chat. Don't do any last minutes, all right? You guys do a last minute scramble, I'm going to get grumpy, all right? Don't do that. Here we go. Thanks so much for being a member. And if you're watching this, now they're putting membership content more in your feed. It might have hit your homepage. You might have been like, what is this? You may have been gifted a member. Huge day on the channel. We're on pace for the week. If we hit 500, I have to play A Quiet Place on Friday. If we hit the stretch goal, my wife has to play A Quiet Place. You now have the opportunity to have 2 segments on Friday instead of just 1. We're trying to make it to where more people can come. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring people over with Redirect. Thank you to all the massive support today. Ghost in the Garage again with the last-minute big 20 bomb. And I'm going to end that stream and redirect folks over, and then I'll change that thumbnail so it doesn't show us as being live.